The summoning. The Valdrosian Empire stretched across 47 star systems, each perfectly ordered under the iron rule of the hierarchs. For 3,000 years, their caste system had remained absolute. The divine hierarchs at the apex, the noble executors beneath them, the administrative drones in the middle, and the servitor class at the bottom. It was, as they proclaimed across 1,000 worlds, the natural order of civilized beings. Commander Thexvor stood in the obsidian hall of the Imperial Requisition Department, his forearms clasped behind his crystalline back. As a noble executor of the third echelon, he had overseen the conquest of 17 worlds. Today's assignment should have been simple. You summon me regarding the new acquisitions? Thexvor asked the trembling administrative drone before him. Yes, Commander. The primitives from Sector 771, the planet they call Earth. Standard integration protocols were initiated, but... The drone's voice wavered. But what, Drone Calyx? They refused to accept their designation as Servitor Class, Commander. They've submitted forms. Thexvor's primary eyes narrowed. Forms? Complaint forms. Appeal documents. Something they call HR violations. They've requested, Calyx checked his datapad, a meeting with what they term upper management to discuss unreasonable working conditions and lack of advancement opportunities. For the first time in his 2-century career, Thexvor experienced something he'd never felt before: confusion. Species typically responded to conquest with violence or submission. Forms were unprecedented. Bring me one of these humans, he commanded. 20 minutes later, Thexvor faced his first human. The creature was small, bipedal, covered in what appeared to be a fabric shell they called a business suit. The human carried a rectangular case and wore a pleasant expression that somehow felt threatening. Hello. Darius Kellerman, Earth Regional Compliance Coordinator. The human extended a single-fingered appendage. I believe there's been a significant misunderstanding regarding our planetary integration package. Thexvor stared at the appendage. You are Servitor Class. There is no misunderstanding. Darius smiled wider. See, that's exactly the kind of communication breakdown I'm here to address. Do you have a few minutes? I've prepared a presentation. Before Thexvor could refuse, Darius had extracted a portable projection device. Colorful graphs filled the air. First, let's discuss the organizational structure you've proposed, Darius began, gesturing at a pyramid diagram. I see you've got your hierarchs here at the top. Great, love it, very clear chain of command. Executors, administrators, servitors below. Classic hierarchy. But here's the thing, Commander. He pulled up another slide. You're missing the most critical layer in any sustainable empire: middle management. Thexvor's translator struggled with the term. Middle management? Exactly. Look, I've reviewed your empire's operational parameters. 47 star systems, billions of subjects, and you've got basically 3 management tiers handling everything. That's a recipe for burnout, Commander. Where are your regional supervisors? Your compliance officers? Your HR department? We have administrative drones who report directly to noble executors who report to divine hierarchs. That's 3 levels for an empire spanning half the sector. Do you know what the recommended span of control is? 7 to 10 direct reports, max. You've got entire planetary systems reporting to single executors. That's chaos waiting to happen. Thexvor felt something crack in his understanding of reality. Our system has functioned for 3 millennia. Oh, I don't doubt it functions, Darius interrupted smoothly. But does it optimize? Does it scale? Does it provide adequate work-life balance for your executors? He clicked to another slide showing a stressed-looking alien. Look at Executor VRNN of Sector 445. According to your own records, he's overseen 6 systems for 70 years without a single promotion or lateral move. How's his engagement level? His satisfaction metrics? We don't measure such. Exactly my point. You can't manage what you don't measure, Commander. Thexvor sat down, something he'd never done in front of a servitor. What are you proposing? Darius's smile could have melted hull plating. I'm so glad you asked. Earth isn't refusing integration, we're offering a merger. You get our entire planet's worth of expertise in organizational management, bureaucratic optimization, and what we call corporate synergy. In exchange, we get integrated as a new class, the management caste, positioned right here. He pointed to a new layer he'd added between executors and administrators. Think of us as consultants, facilitators, efficiency experts. We'll streamline your operations, reduce executor burnout, and increase empire-wide productivity by an estimated 47% within the first fiscal cycle. This is Thexvor searched for words. Unprecedented. So is an empire this size without a proper org chart, Darius countered. Commander, I'm not here to fight. I'm here to help you succeed. Let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you had a performance review? The question struck something deep in Thexvor's psyche. Never. How do you know if you're meeting expectations? How do you track your career development? How do you justify budget increases? Darius shook his head sympathetically. Commander, you're being set up to fail and you don't even know it. But we can fix this. Together. Thexvor stared at this small, soft creature who had somehow made the eternal hierarchy of the Valdrosian Empire sound like a management problem. A fixable management problem. I need to consult the hierarchs, he said slowly. Of course. Would you like me to prepare the presentation deck for them? I do a great pitch. As Darius left, Thexvor realized something terrifying. He was actually considering it. Worse, it was starting to make sense. The Empire would never be the same. The pitch. The divine hierarchs had not gathered in person for 3 centuries. They existed as pure consciousness in crystalline vessels, their minds elevated beyond physical concerns. They communicated through harmonic resonance that lesser beings experienced as painful migraines. Today, all 7 hierarchs manifested in the Grand Chamber, their vessels pulsing with irritation. Before them stood Commander Thexvor, Drone Kelix, and the human called Darius Kellerman, who appeared remarkably calm for someone about to address beings who could atomize planets with a thought. This had better be worth the disruption, Executor Thexvor, resonated Hierarch Sovereign, the eldest. We do not convene for servitor complaints. Most divine ones, Thexvor began, the situation is unique. The humans request reclassification. Denied, all 7 hierarchs harmonized instantly. The hierarchy is absolute. I understand, divine ones. However, I recommend you hear their proposal. It concerns optimization. A ripple of interest passed through the crystals. The hierarchs valued efficiency above all else. Darius stepped forward, completely unfazed. Honored hierarchs, thank you for this opportunity. I'll be brief as I know your time is valuable. Let me start with a question. How many active requisition delays are currently in your system? Silence. Then Hierarch Vex responded, 17,412. And how many executors are assigned to resolve these delays? None. Administrative drones handle requisitions. Darius nodded. Right. And how many drones does each system have? 1 per system. So you have 47 drones managing requisitions for 47 star systems containing? He checked his tablet. Approximately 800 billion subjects. That's roughly 17 billion subjects per drone. Does that seem like an appropriate workload? Hierarch Luminex pulsed. The drones are efficient. They're drowning, Darius corrected gently. And the delays prove it. Now you might think adding more drones is the answer, but that's treating the symptom, not the disease. The real issue is structural. He activated his presentation. A 3-dimensional org chart appeared, showing the Empire's hierarchy. You've built a beautiful authoritarian structure. Top-down, clear authority, no ambiguity. Perfect for conquest. But you're trying to run a mature, multi-system empire with a startup's org chart. You need infrastructure. We have infrastructure, Hierarch Sovereign stated coldly. You have an authority structure, Darius clarified. What you need is a management infrastructure. Let me show you something. He pulled up a new chart, this one showing Earth's corporate hierarchies. This is what we call a matrix organization. You maintain your vertical authority, hierarchs at top that never changes, but you add horizontal management layers. Regional coordinators who handle day-to-day operations. Compliance officers who ensure consistency. Project managers who facilitate cross-departmental initiatives. This seems redundant, Hierarch Vex noted. It seems redundant until you factor in time savings. Right now, how long does it take for a requisition from Sector 771 to reach your attention? Requisitions do not reach our attention. We delegate. Exactly. You delegate to executors who delegate to drones who are buried under 17 billion subjects worth of paperwork. Meanwhile, you're making strategic decisions, wars, expansion, resource allocation, based on data that's filtered through this bottleneck. How old is the data you're using to make decisions? Another silence. Then Hierarch Sci-Fi admitted, our most recent comprehensive economic analysis is 43 cycles old. Darius let that sink in. 43 cycles. You're steering an empire using information that's almost half a century old. That's like driving a starship by looking out the rear viewport. You're reactive instead of proactive, and it's costing you. He brought up financial projections. Here's what our analysis shows. Adding a management layer increases your immediate overhead by 12%. But it reduces requisition delays by 91%, improves data accuracy and timeliness by 87%, and decreases executor burnout, leading to better decision-making at the noble level. Net result? A 38% increase in empire-wide efficiency within 5 years. These numbers are theoretical, hierarch sovereign challenged. They're based on Earth's own optimization. We went from feudal kingdoms to global interconnected systems in about 500 years. We've made every organizational mistake possible and learned from them. We've developed an entire science around management theory. And we're offering it to you. In exchange for what? Hierarch Vex asked suspiciously. What does Earth gain? Darius smiled. We get to do what we do best. Look, hierarchs, humans aren't the strongest species. We've met your enforcer caste, they'd snap us like twigs. We're not the smartest, your computational capacity exceeds ours. We can't even manipulate energy like you do. But we can manage. We can organize. We can optimize. We can take chaos and create order, not through force but through systems. He gestured expansively. You want to expand to 100 systems? 1,000? You can't do it with your current structure. You'll collapse under your own bureaucratic weight. But with us handling the middle management, you could build something that lasts 10,000 years. Hierarch Luminex pulsed thoughtfully. You would teach us these systems? Better. We'll run them for you. Earth becomes your management hub. We'll train specialists, deploy them across your empire, set up the infrastructure. You focus on the big picture, the divine governance you were meant to provide. We'll handle the tedious middle. And if we refuse? Hierarch Sovereign asked. Darius shrugged. Then you keep struggling with 17,000 requisition delays, making decisions based on half-century-old data, and hoping your current system doesn't buckle when you hit System 50. Or 60. Or when another empire with better organizational structure decides to test you. The crystals pulsed in rapid-fire communication too fast for translators. Finally, Hierarch Sovereign spoke. We will implement a trial program. Earth will provide management consultation for Sector 771 under Executor Thexvor's supervision. You have 2 cycles to demonstrate measurable improvement. Darius bowed. You won't be disappointed. I'll have the implementation team ready within the week. As the hierarchs dissolved back to their individual chambers, Thexvor approached Darius. You just gambled your entire species on a business proposal. No, Darius corrected. I made them an offer they couldn't refuse. The difference is we both benefit. That's good business. Thexvor watched the human leave, wondering what his empire had just agreed to, and why it felt less like negotiation and more like acquisition. The implementation. Sector 771 Administrator Calix stared at the transport ship descending on his world. From it emerged not soldiers or subjugation equipment, but 200 humans carrying tablets, portable workstations, and something they called coffee thermoses. Leading them was a woman named Sylvia Marchenko, who introduced herself as the Regional Integration Specialist. Calix, right? She shook his manipulator appendage firmly. Great to meet you. We're going to make your life so much easier. First thing, let's audit your current processes. Audit? Calix's translator struggled. Review, analyze, optimize. Show me how you handle a standard requisition. Calix led her to his workstation, where 17,000 pending requests glowed in angry red. A request comes in, I verify authenticity, check resource availability, cross-reference with imperial protocols, submit to Executor Thexvor for approval, await his authorization, then implement. Sylvia's eyes widened. You do all that yourself? I am the administrative drone for this sector. One person for 17 billion subjects. Yeah, we're definitely fixing that. She turned to her team. Chin, start mapping process flows. Okonkwo, analyze the bottlenecks. Rodriguez, I need a resource allocation model by end of day. Within hours, Calix's orderly, if overwhelmed, office transformed into organized chaos. Humans clustered around holographic displays, created diagrams he didn't understand, and spoke in rapid-fire jargon about workflows, delegation matrices, and SLA agreements. By evening, Sylvia presented him with a new organizational chart. Okay, here's what we're implementing. You're being promoted to Sector Operations Director. Under you, we're creating 5 departments. resource allocation, compliance verification, diplomatic integration, infrastructure management, and quality assurance. Each department gets a human coordinator and a team of cross-trained local staff. Kellex felt dizzy. But I am the administration. This is my function. You were doing 5 jobs simultaneously and drowning. Now you'll oversee 5 specialists doing those jobs properly. Your role becomes strategic. You make sure they coordinate, remove obstacles, escalate the truly complex issues. Trust me, your stress levels are about to plummet. I don't experience stress. You've got chronic energy fluctuations and decision fatigue. I checked your medical scans. That's stress. She smiled. Let's fix it. Meanwhile, Executor Thexvor was having his own uncomfortable education. A human named Marcus Okafor had been assigned as his executive operations consultant. Commander, walk me through your daily routine, Marcus requested. Thexvor bristled. I oversee 6 star systems. I approve requisitions, manage military deployments, adjudicate disputes, monitor production quotas, review drone performance, and report to the hierarchs. Marcus typed notes. How many hours per cycle does that take? 23.4. Out of a 24-hour cycle? Correct. When do you rest? Rest is for lower castes. Marcus looked up, genuine concern on his face. Commander, you're describing burnout. No wonder your decision-making efficiency has declined 18% over the past decade. How dare? Your own reports show it. Response times increasing, approval bottlenecks growing. You're not failing, sir. You're being overworked by a system that doesn't respect the limits of biological cognition. Thexvor sat heavily. What do you suggest? Delegation. You've got talent underneath you. Kellex is sharp, your military coordinators are solid, but you're hovering over every decision. Let's create authority levels. Kellex can approve requisitions under 10,000 credits without your sign-off. Your military coordinators can handle routine deployments. You focus on the decisions that actually need your expertise. That's a loss of control. It's a gain in effectiveness. Trust your people, give them clear parameters, hold them accountable for results. You'll have time to actually think strategically instead of just processing paperwork. Over the following weeks, Sector 771 transformed. Kellex, despite his initial resistance, found himself working standard cycles for the first time in decades. His new department heads, a mix of humans and promoted local staff, handled their specialties with shocking efficiency. The human called Chin implemented something called a ticketing system that automatically routed requests to appropriate departments. Requisition time dropped from 40 days to 4. Okonkwo created a predictive resource model that anticipated needs before they became critical. Emergency requisitions decreased by 73%. Rodriguez established cross-training programs that created redundancy. No longer did the entire sector's administration depend on one overworked drone. Thexvor, meanwhile, discovered something revolutionary: free time. With department heads managing daily operations, he spent his cycles on strategy, long-term planning, and actually visiting his systems instead of just reading reports about them. One evening, as Thexvor reviewed efficiency metrics that showed improvement across every category, Marcus stopped by. How are you feeling, Commander? Thexvor hesitated. Strange. Effective but strange. For 2 centuries I defined myself by constant work. Now I work less but accomplish more. It seems paradoxical. That's good management, Marcus said simply. Working harder isn't the goal. Working smarter is. You're thinking like an executive now, not an administrator. That's growth. The hierarchs will want these results replicated across all sectors. Already on it. Sylvia's team is documenting everything. Processes, structures, training materials. Within 6 months, we can scale this empire-wide. Thexvor studied the human. Your species does this naturally? This, management. Marcus laughed. God no. We're terrible at it naturally. That's why we developed entire industries around it. Business schools, consulting firms, management theory. We spent thousands of years fighting each other, competing, organizing, and learning what works. You're getting the refined version. And you teach this to others willingly? Commander, a well-organized empire is better for everyone. Chaos serves no one. Besides, Marcus grinned, we get paid in resources, technology, and security. Earth's doing just fine in this arrangement. As Marcus left, Thexvor realized something profound. The humans hadn't conquered Sector 771. They'd optimized it. And somehow, that felt more permanent than any military victory. The hierarchy wasn't breaking. It was evolving. And the Empire would never be the same. The resistance. Not everyone welcomed the changes. In Sector 445, Executor VRNN watched the reports from Sector 771 with growing alarm. For 70 years, he had maintained absolute authority over his 6 systems. The idea of delegating to subordinates felt like weakness. When the hierarchs ordered empire-wide implementation of the Earth management protocols, VRNN made a decision: resist. The human consultant assigned to him was a young woman named Keiko Tanaka, who arrived with the same cheerful confidence all these management specialists seemed to possess. Executor VRNN. Honored to work with you. I've reviewed your sector's performance metrics, and I have some exciting optimization opportunities. Leave, VRNN commanded. Keiko blinked. I'm sorry? I do not require optimization. My sector functions adequately. Return to your vessel. Executor, the hierarchs specifically mandated. The hierarchs are being deceived by your kind. You offer false efficiency while actually seizing control. I see through your scheme, human. My sector will not participate. Keiko's pleasant expression never wavered. I understand you have concerns. That's completely valid. Can we at least discuss them? No. Dismissed. After she left, VRNN sent an encrypted communication to other executors he knew shared his concerns. Within days he'd formed a coalition, 12 executors across 8 sectors who refused implementation. News of the resistance reached Thexvor during his monthly coordination meeting. Marcus brought the report. We've got 12 executors refusing to implement the protocols. Led by VRNN in 445. Thexvor wasn't surprised. VRNN is traditional. He views change as corruption. Can the hierarchs order him to comply? They could. But forcing implementation would validate his concerns about Earth seizing control. Thexvor thought for a moment. I'll speak with him. Executor to executor. The holographic communication established, VRNN's crystalline face appeared, already scowling. Thexvor. Have you contacted me to gloat about your sector's surrender to human manipulation? I contacted you because I was once where you are, Thexvor replied calmly. Suspicious. Resistant. Convinced these management protocols were a trick. And now you're their advocate. How were you compromised? I was convinced by results, VRNN. My workload decreased by 60% while output increased by 40%. My drones report higher efficiency and lower stress. I've identified 3 emerging problems in my systems before they became critical, something I never had time for before. This isn't surrender. It's improvement. You've abdicated authority to subordinates. I've delegated tasks while retaining authority. There's a difference. I still make every strategic decision. I simply no longer waste time on routine approvals that my staff can handle. VRNN's expression remained skeptical. And when these humans have infiltrated every level of our empire? When they control all the middle management functions? What then? Then they'll be doing exactly what they're doing now, managing. VRNN humans can't even manipulate energy. They're not warriors. They're not engineers. They're coordinators. They make systems work smoothly. That's not a threat, it's a resource. I don't trust them. Neither did I. But I trust results. After the call ended, Marcus asked, Think you convinced him? No, Thexvor admitted. VRNN needs to see failure, not success. His pride won't allow him to change until his sector's performance falls demonstrably behind. That could take months. Then we wait. The numbers will speak for themselves. They didn't have to wait long. Within 40 days the contrast became stark. Sectors implementing Earth protocols saw average efficiency gains of 32%. Requisition delays dropped. Resource utilization improved. Even executor satisfaction, once an unmeasured metric, showed remarkable improvement. VRNN's coalition sectors, maintaining traditional structures, began falling behind. Requisition backlogs grew. Production quotas slipped. Most damaging, other sectors began refusing to work with them due to slow response times. Keiko, still assigned to Sector 445, sent VRNN monthly reports he refused to read. Until one day when his own administrative drone, exhausted and overwhelmed, delivered a message. Executor, I must inform you that I have failed. 3 critical requisitions have exceeded maximum processing time. I cannot maintain current operational tempo. VRNN stared at his drone, who had served faithfully for 40 years. Explain. The new management protocols in other sectors allow them to process requests at 5 times our speed. They're prioritized by central distribution. Our delays compound. I work every cycle until exhaustion, but I cannot compete with their distributed teams. For the first time, Viroinen wondered if he'd made a mistake. The next day he contacted Keiko. I will hear your proposal. Keiko arrived at his office with neither triumph nor smugness, just professionalism. Thank you for this opportunity, executor. I know change is difficult. Save your platitudes. Show me how this works. She did. For 2 hours, Keiko walked Viroinen through the structure. Department creation, authority delegation, coordination mechanisms. She showed him comparison data from Sector 771, before and after. Your drone isn't failing, she explained. He's being asked to do an impossible job. One person can't manage this workload. But a coordinated team can. And I simply trust them to perform? You establish clear parameters, monitor results, and intervene when necessary. Trust but verify. That's management. Viroinen studied the data. The improvements were undeniable. Finally, he asked the question that had haunted him. Why do you do this? Your species was conquered. Why help your conquerors? Keiko considered her answer carefully. Because chaos helps no one. A well-run empire is better for humans, better for Valdrosians, better for everyone. Besides, we're not helping our conquerors. We're building something new, a partnership where everyone benefits from their strengths. That's remarkably idealistic. Maybe. But idealism backed by spreadsheets and efficiency metrics? That's just good business. Against his every instinct, Viroinen authorized implementation. Within 30 days, Sector 445 began catching up. Within 60, it matched average sector performance. Within 90, it exceeded it. Viroinen's decades of experience, finally freed from administrative burden, proved remarkably effective when applied to strategic thinking. The last holdout among the coalition executors, seeing 445's transformation, capitulated. The resistance ended not with force but with results. Marcus, reviewing the final implementation reports with Thex4, smiled. 12 sectors, full integration. That's the whole empire now. Not quite, Thex4 corrected. We've integrated the management protocols. But Earth has integrated itself into the empire's structure. You're no longer conquered subjects. What are we? Essential. And that, both realized, had been the plan all along. The competition. 6 months after full implementation, the Valdrosian Empire hummed with unprecedented efficiency. Requisition delays had become rare exceptions. Resource allocation operated predictively. Even the divine hierarchs, for the first time in centuries, received real-time data on their empire's status. But success bred attention. The Crithian Dominion, watching from across the stellar border, took note. For 1,000 years, the Crithians and Valdrosians had maintained an uneasy peace, two empires of roughly equal strength, neither willing to risk the catastrophic war that conflict would bring. Until the Crithian High Chancellor, a being named Zexral, noticed the Valdrosian efficiency surge. How? Zexral demanded of his intelligence advisors. Their production has increased 40%. Their response times have quintupled. What weapon have they developed? Not a weapon, Chancellor, his chief analyst reported. A management structure. They've integrated a primitive species called humans into their hierarchy as coordinators and administrators. Zexral examined the reports with growing interest. And this works. By every metric, the Valdrosian Empire is operating at optimization levels we've never seen. Then we will have this advantage as well. Locate these humans homeworld. Extend them an offer of alliance. Within days, a Crithian diplomatic vessel entered Earth's orbit. Aboard was Ambassador Kelthara, authorized to offer humanity something the Valdrosians never had: a choice. Darius Kellerman, now Earth's official Imperial Relations Coordinator, received the Crithian ambassador in Geneva's new interstellar diplomatic center. He'd been expecting this. Ambassador Kelthara, welcome to Earth. Coffee? The Crithian, a serpentine being of considerable size, studied Darius with multifaceted eyes. I will dispense with pleasantries. The Crithian Dominion wishes to engage your species' services. We understand you've been forced into serving the Valdrosians. Darius's expression remained neutral. That's one interpretation. We offer liberation. An alliance, not subjugation. Equal partnership in exchange for your organizational expertise. That's generous. What's the catch? No catch. We simply recognize that your species possesses skills valuable enough to warrant fair compensation rather than forced service. Kelthara leaned forward. Name your price, human. Whatever the Valdrosians offer, we'll double it. Darius sipped his coffee. Interesting proposal. I'll need to consult with our Valdrosian partners. Partners? Kelthara's tone dripped skepticism. They conquered you. They did. Then we negotiated. Now we're partners. That's how good business works. Within hours, Darius stood in the Grand Chamber, addressing the 7 divine hierarchs and Commander Thexvor via hologram. The Crithians have made contact, he reported. They want to hire us. The crystals pulsed with agitation. Hierarch Sovereign's voice resonated dangerously. You are subjects of the Valdrosian Empire. You cannot serve our rivals. With respect, Divine Ones, that's not how this works. We're management consultants. We can work for multiple clients. You would betray us? Hierarch Vex demanded. I would operate professionally. Look, the Crithians are going to get organized one way or another. Either we help them and maintain influence, or they develop their own systems and potentially surpass you. Which scenario do you prefer? Silence. Then Thexvor spoke. He's right. Preventing Earth from working with the Crithians won't stop the Crithians from improving. It will only make Earth resent us. So we simply allow our strategic advantage to assist our greatest rival? Hierarch Sovereign asked. Darius stepped forward. Not exactly. Here's what I propose. Earth remains primarily partnered with the Valdrosian Empire. We maintain exclusive access to certain proprietary systems we've developed specifically for you. But we also offer basic consultation to the Crithians. Think of it as our exported services generating revenue. Revenue we would share? Hierarch Sci-Fi asked. 70-30 split in your favor. The Crithians pay in resources and technology, which flows primarily to the Empire. Plus, by working with both sides, we can serve as neutral intermediaries. You've had peace for 1,000 years, wouldn't it be better to have guaranteed peace through mutual economic entanglement? The hierarchs conferred. Finally, Sovereign spoke. You may engage with the Crithians under these conditions. All advanced protocols remain Valdrosian exclusive. Any technology or resources gained are split as proposed. And you will report all Crithian activities to us. That last one's a problem, Darius said. I won't spy for you. It violates professional ethics and destroys our neutrality. But I can guarantee transparency. Anything we implement for them you'll know about. No secrets, no competitive intelligence sharing, just honest business. After a long pause, acceptable. 3 months later, Earth management teams worked across both empires. Crithian sectors saw similar efficiency gains as Valdrosian ones. And something unexpected happened. The 2 ancient rivals began cooperating. It started small. A Crithian system needed a resource only available in Valdrosian space. The traditional response would have been tension, possibly conflict. Instead, the human coordinators arranged a trade agreement. Both sides benefited. Then a Valdrosian executor requested technical specifications on a Crithian manufacturing process. Human intermediaries facilitated a technology exchange. Again, mutual benefit. Within a year, the 2 empires had established 17 cooperative ventures, all mediated by human management teams. Ambassador Kelthara, meeting with Darius to review progress, expressed something that might have been amusement. You've made yourselves indispensable. That's the idea, Darius replied. You can't afford to fight each other when we're running critical systems for both of you. War would disrupt operations both sides now depend on. You've created peace through bureaucracy. We've created peace through mutual interest. The bureaucracy just makes it sustainable. Kelthara studied the human. Your species was conquered by the Valdrosians 6 months ago. Now you're mediating between galactic superpowers and profiting from both. How? Darius smiled. We're really good at middle management. Back on Earth, Sylvia Marchenko addressed the newest graduating class of interstellar management specialists. 5,000 humans prepared to deploy across 2 empires, bringing organization to chaos. You're not warriors, she told them. You're not scientists. You're not diplomats. You're managers. And right now, that makes you the most important people in this sector of space. 2 empires depend on you. Billions of beings will be affected by the systems you create. Remember, good management serves everyone. Stay ethical, stay professional, and stay excellent. Dismissed. As they dispersed, Marcus approached Sylvia. Think they're ready? They're as ready as we were. Besides, we've built good systems. That's the beauty of management. It doesn't depend on exceptional people, it creates them. Across the stars, the Valdrosian Empire and Crithian Dominion continued their transformation, Unaware that the small species from Sector 771 had done something unprecedented. They'd made themselves necessary to powers that could destroy them. It was, Darius reflected, the perfect hostile takeover. Not through force but through Excel spreadsheets and org charts. Humanity, fuck yeah. The crisis. The system worked beautifully for 2 years. Then the Zarathians arrived. The Zarathian collective made both the Valdrosian Empire and Crithian Dominion look like regional powers. They controlled 300 systems, possessed technology centuries more advanced, and viewed lesser civilizations with cold pragmatism. They also had no concept of management structure. They operated as a hive-mind collective, all decisions made by consensus of billions. It should have been impossibly inefficient. It was impossibly efficient. When their fleet emerged at the border between Valdrosian and Crithian space, both empires panicked. The Zarathians sent a simple message: we are expanding. Your territories are required. You have 30 standard days to evacuate or be integrated. The crisis meeting in the Grand Chamber was tense. Divine hierarchs, Crithian High Chancellor Zexral via hologram, Executor Thexvor, Ambassador Kelthara, and the Human Coordination Team all present. We cannot fight them, Hierarch Sovereign stated flatly. Their fleet outmasses ours 5-1. Combined, our forces might hold them, Zexral suggested. The Valdrosian and Crithian militaries, coordinated, might delay them, not stop them. Thexvor's analysis was grim. They have weapons we don't understand. All eyes turned to Darius Kellerman. Don't look at me, he said. Management consultants can't fight wars. But you can negotiate, Hierarch Vex stated. You've proven skilled at persuading others to accept your proposals. They're offering integration, not conversation. That's not a negotiation, it's an ultimatum. Sylvia Marchenko stood. Actually, it's an opportunity. Everyone stared at her. Think about it, she continued. The Zarathians operate as a hive-mind consensus. That means every decision involves billions of individuals reaching agreement. It's democratically beautiful and practically nightmarish. They seem quite efficient, Kelthara noted. For existing operations, yes. But for adaptation? For rapid decision-making in complex situations? Consensus governance is terrible. She turned to Darius. We need to meet with them. The Zarathian delegation agreed to receive human representatives. Aboard their impossibly vast collective ship, Darius and Sylvia faced what appeared to be a council but was actually a manifested portion of the collective consciousness. We are Zarath, they spoke in perfect unison. We acknowledge your request for audience. State your purpose. We're here to offer our services, Darius began. We understand you're expanding. We expand because it is logical. Our collective requires resources. Your territories possess them. Integration is efficient. But integration will be messy, Sylvia interjected. You'll be absorbing hundreds of different governmental systems, millions of conflicting protocols, billions of individuals used to hierarchical structure. Your consensus model will experience severe decision-making delays when you try to incorporate that much diversity. The Zarathians paused, the first time either human had seen them hesitate. We have integrated other civilizations successfully. Smaller ones. More homogeneous. Nothing approaching the organizational complexity of 2 major empires. You'll spend decades just establishing consensus on basic integration protocols. What do you propose? A different approach. Don't integrate the Valdrosians and Crithians into your collective. Partner with them through a managed interface. Darius pulled up a diagram. You maintain your consensus-based decision-making for your own collective. But for interactions with hierarchical civilizations, you work through a management layer that translates between governance structures. Think of it as an API, an application programming interface, between different operating systems. You would be this interface? We would manage it. You get access to the resources and territory you need without the nightmare of forcing billions of hierarchical thinkers into consensus decision-making. The existing empires maintain autonomy while coordinating with you through structured agreements. This serves your survival, the Zarathians observed. You offer this to avoid conquest. Absolutely, Sylvia agreed. But it also serves you. Your expansion isn't about destruction, it's about logical resource acquisition. This gets you what you need faster and more efficiently than integration would. The Zarathians were silent for a long moment. Then, we will present this to the collective. Consensus will require time. How long? Darius asked. For a decision of this magnitude involving all consciousness nodes? Approximately 16 standard days. You have 14 days left in your ultimatum. Then we shall accelerate the process. Back in the Grand Chamber, the wait was agonizing. Thexvor paced, something executors never did. We've gambled both empires on whether a hive mind finds management theory persuasive. It's not just theory, Marcus defended. It's practical. They're logical beings, they'll see the efficiency argument. If they don't? Zexral asked. No one answered. On the 14th day, the Zerathian response arrived. We have achieved consensus. Your proposal is logically sound. We accept a managed partnership structure under the following terms. The terms were extensive but fair. The Zerathians would have access to specific resources through coordinated trade agreements. Military forces would maintain peace through mutual deterrence coordinated by human intermediaries. Technological exchange would flow through managed channels. Most revolutionary, the three powers would form a tripartite council with decisions requiring agreement from all three parties, but with human management teams facilitating the negotiations between consensus-based and hierarchical governance models. It was, essentially, three incompatible civilizations agreeing to work together through the power of good project management. Hierarch Sovereign, reviewing the agreement, noted dryly, "We nearly went to war. Instead we created a committee." "A very well-organized committee," Darius corrected. "Your species has made war obsolete through bureaucracy." "Not obsolete. Just inefficient compared to cooperation. And if there's one thing everyone hates, it's inefficiency." The treaty signing occurred on neutral ground, Earth itself. Representatives from three galactic powers gathered in Geneva, with human coordinators managing every detail. Ambassador Kelthara approached Darius at the reception. "Your planet was conquered 18 months ago. Now you host peace conferences between galactic superpowers. This seems improbable." "We got really good at being useful," Darius replied. "Turns out that's better than being powerful." The Zerathian delegate, speaking as an individual node, a concept they'd adopted for easier communication, added, "Your species has created interdependence. None of our civilizations can efficiently function without your coordination infrastructure. You have made yourselves necessary." Sylvia joined the conversation. "That was always the plan. Can't be conquered if you're indispensable." "Clever," the Zerathian acknowledged. "We shall incorporate this strategy into our collective knowledge. Perhaps other species we encounter might serve similar coordination functions." "Happy to consult on that," Sylvia offered with a smile. As the reception continued, Marcus found Thexvor standing apart, watching the mingling of three civilizations that should have been at war. "Commander? You seem contemplative." Thexvor's crystalline features shifted in what might have been a smile. "I am remembering the day your Mr. Kellerman first entered my office with his presentation about organizational structure. I thought him mad. Now." He gestured at the conference. "Now he's negotiating peace between hive minds and hierarchies. Strange how things work out." "No," Thexvor corrected. "Clever how things were planned. Your species saw conquest coming and decided to make it profitable for everyone. Including yourselves. Is that so wrong?" "It's brilliant. Frustrating but brilliant." Thexvor paused. "Tell me honestly, Marcus. Was any of this actually about management or was it always about survival?" Marcus considered the question. "Both. We genuinely believe good management makes everyone better off. But we also knew that making ourselves valuable was our best defense. The beauty is those goals aligned perfectly. And now we keep doing what we do best, making systems work. Somebody has to coordinate between consensus democracies and divine hierarchies. Might as well be us." Thexvor watched Darius expertly mediating a discussion between a hierarch and a Zerathian node cluster, ensuring both understood each other's decision-making frameworks. "Your species conquered the conquerors," Thexvor said quietly. "Not with weapons. With org charts." "Hey," Marcus grinned. "Humanity, fuck yeah. The legacy." 5 years after first contact, Earth had transformed into the administrative heart of three galactic civilizations. The planet's surface sparkled with coordination centers, training facilities, and diplomatic complexes. Humans now worked across 800 star systems, managing everything from resource distribution to interspecies cultural exchanges. But success brought new challenges. Keiko Tanaka, now Director of Intercivilizational Management Development, stood before the latest graduating class. 10,000 specialists, human, Valdrosian, Crithian, and even some Zerathian individual nodes who'd chosen to train in hierarchical management, prepared to deploy. You represent the future, she told them. Not human, not Valdrosian, not any single species. You're the infrastructure that holds civilizations together. Remember, good management serves everyone. Now go build something amazing. Among the graduates was someone unexpected. Drone Kellex, the former single administrator of Sector 771. He'd spent 3 years studying human management theory and was now certified as a regional coordination specialist. After the ceremony, he approached Darius. I wanted to thank you. When you first arrived, I thought you were destroying my world. Instead, you gave me a future. You did the work, Kellex. We just showed you the tools. No. You showed us possibility. That hierarchy didn't have to mean suffering. That efficiency could coexist with dignity. Kellex paused. I'm returning to Sector 771 as regional director. I intend to train others the way you trained me. As Kellex left, Sylvia joined Darius. We're getting old, you know. The first generation of humanity's management conquest. Expansion, Darius corrected. We prefer expansion. Conquest by another name. We've spread across 3 empires. Humans hold critical infrastructure positions everywhere. We've made ourselves indispensable. And everyone's better off for it. Production up, conflicts down, efficiency maximized. This is what winning looks like. Is it? Sylvia gestured at Earth. We've changed this planet completely. Humanity's entire economy now revolves around managing other civilizations. Are we even still human, or have we become something else? Before Darius could answer, an alarm sounded. Not danger, a notification. The Tripartite Council was convening an emergency session. In the Grand Council chamber, a structure that existed simultaneously as physical space and Zerathian consensus node, representatives gathered. Something unprecedented had occurred. A 4th civilization had made contact. The Luminary Commonwealth from the Galactic Core had sent envoys. Their message was brief. We've observed your tripartite coordination. We wish to join. The implications were staggering. The Luminary controlled territory twice the size of all 3 current civilizations combined. Their addition would create a power block encompassing most of the known galaxy. Hierarch Sovereign addressed the Council. This decision affects all civilizations. We must achieve consensus across 3 governance models. It should have been impossible. The Valdrosians required hierarchical approval from the top down. The Crithians needed balanced Chancellor and Council agreement. The Zerathians demanded collective consensus of billions. Instead, the decision took 3 days. Human coordination teams facilitated every step, translating Zerathian consensus data into hierarchical briefings for the Valdrosians, converting Crithian political nuance into logical frameworks the Zerathians could process, ensuring everyone understood implications in their own decision-making context. The vote was unanimous, except the Luminari. Ambassador Kelthara, observing the process, spoke to Darius afterward. 10 years ago, this decision would have required months of negotiation and possibly ended in war. Today it took 3 days and ended in agreement. Your species did this. We facilitated it, Darius corrected. You all made the decision. No. You made it possible. There is a difference. Kelthara's serpentine form shifted. I must ask, what happens when your species becomes more powerful than those you coordinate? When you control all the infrastructure, all the decision-making processes, all the connections between civilizations. Darius had been expecting this question for years. Then we'll have achieved something unprecedented. Power through necessity rather than force. And if we do our jobs right, everyone will be better off for it. And if you do your jobs wrong? Then we deserve to be replaced by someone who can do it better. That's how good management works. You're only as valuable as the results you deliver. 20 years after first contact, Darius Kellerman retired. His replacement was Kellex, the former overwhelmed administrative drone from Sector 771. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone, a conquered subject ascending to humanity's highest administrative position. At his retirement ceremony, Darius addressed the assembly, representatives from 17 civilizations now part of the Coordinated Systems Alliance. When the Valdrosians conquered Earth, we had a choice: resist and die or adapt and survive. We chose a third option: thrive. We took the skills we'd developed managing our own chaotic species and offered them to the galaxy. Today, billions of beings across 17 civilizations live in peace not because of weapons, but because of well-designed processes and fair systems. He paused, looking at the assembled representatives. People ask if humanity conquered the galaxy through management. The answer is no. We didn't conquer anything. We made ourselves useful, then indispensable, then essential. And in doing so we proved something important. You don't need to be the strongest to matter. You just need to be the one everyone needs. The applause was genuine, from crystalline hierarchs, serpentine Crithians, Zerathian nodes, and dozens of other species who joined the alliance. Kelix took the podium next. 20 years ago I was drowning in work, failing at an impossible job, convinced my suffering was necessary. Then humans showed me another way. They taught me that efficiency and dignity could coexist. That good systems serve everyone, not just those at the top. He looked at Darius. You didn't just manage us. You freed us. And now we carry that forward. 50 years after first contact, the Coordinated Systems Alliance encompassed 43 civilizations and 3,000 star systems. The original tensions between Valdrosian, Crithian, and Zerathian governance had evolved into a sophisticated multimodal structure that accommodated everything from hive minds to divine hierarchies. And at the center of it all, management. Humans still coordinated much of the infrastructure, but they were no longer alone. Every species contributed their strengths. Zerathians handled large-scale data processing. Valdrosians provided strategic oversight. Crithians excelled at diplomatic nuance. The Luminari brought long-term planning expertise. Together they built something unprecedented. A galactic civilization based not on conquest but on cooperation. Not on dominance but on mutual benefit. In a small office on Earth, an elderly Sylvia Marchenko met with young Maya Chin, humanity's newest training coordinator. Do you ever regret it? Maya asked. We gave up independence for this. Earth isn't sovereign anymore. Earth was never going to be sovereign, Sylvia replied. The Valdrosians had us beat militarily. But we are influential. We're essential. We're respected. That's better than sovereignty. Some humans disagree. They say we sold out. Some humans will always disagree. That's fine. Democracy means accepting dissent. Sylvia smiled. But the numbers don't lie. Humanity is healthier, wealthier, safer, and more influential than we ever were alone. We traded independence for interdependence. I'd make that trade again. Maya nodded slowly. So this is what victory looks like. Not conquest but coordination? This is what wisdom looks like. We recognized our strength wasn't in weapons or technology. It was in making systems work. In helping others succeed. In being the ones everyone needs. Sylvia stood, gazing at Earth below, a planet that had become the administrative heart of galactic civilization. We didn't conquer the galaxy, she said. We organized it. And that's so much better. 100 years after first contact, the galaxy celebrates Human Integration Day. Not as a day of conquest, but as a day when a small species showed the universe that power takes many forms. The Valdrosian divine hierarchs still rule their systems, but they do so with efficient bureaucracies designed by humans and managed by multi-species teams. The Crithian Dominion still conducts its complex political balancing acts, but through frameworks that ensure stability. The Zerathian collective still makes decisions by consensus, but through streamlined processes that don't take months. And 40 other civilizations, each unique, each valuable, each contributing their strengths. All coordinated. All managed. All thriving. In 1,000 years, historians would debate whether humanity conquered the galaxy or was conquered by it. The answer, as always with good management, was both and neither. They didn't conquer. They didn't surrender. They organized. And in a chaotic universe, organization is the ultimate power.